I am buying crypto at these levels, and in this video, I'm going to explain why. Now, there are some really important reasons in the traditional market and crypto as to why I think this level makes a ton of sense. And the reasoning is pretty simple. Math, guys. The risk to reward here makes a ton of sense. So let's go ahead and show what I'm looking at. Now, let's go back in time a little bit and explain what's been going on in this market. And the best way to look at that is actually check out what happened back in May of 2022. So May of this year, we have this clear range that was established, a 4-hour breaker here and a 4-hour breaker here. We were essentially bouncing between these levels. We did have a really nasty bull trap that happened, but ultimately, you bought down in this region, you sold up in this region, and until we actually broke down below, this was a strong support level and this is a strong resistance level. So bounce, 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 bounce. We did have a bull trap, bounce, bounce, bounce. We lost it, fell down beneath it, and now we continue back down. And this right here is very important. As you can see, we came down here, bounced up, fell through, had a bullet or a bearish retest, and then continued to go back down. So why is that so important? Well, let's look at what's been going on in the current price action. So as you guys can see, we have this. Let me get rid of that. Let me fix that real quick. Here we go. This is our major resistance level that was formed way back here in June, and we have this major support level. And as you guys can see, just like we had the major bouncing that happened back then, we have the same thing that was happening here. We bounced down here, bounced up here, bounced down here. We did have a bull trap, at another bull trap. We actually consolidated up here for a very long time, which of course got a lot of people really complacent and thought we were going to continue to go back up. However, we did fall back into this range, again acted as support on this level, and we once again acted as resistance up here. So this range is absolutely still intact, and it's still very important. So if you're at the net, now currently we're at the bottom side of the range, and if you're at the bottom side of the range, you're going to assume this is still going to be a support level until it's not. So as long as we're down here, I'm still looking for longs, and ultimately I'm still looking to target the top side of the range. So you buy here and you sell here. That has worked every single time, essentially all in this range as well as all in this range, okay? So this level right here is, I think, very important. And even more so, this dip that we're getting right now, I think makes a ton of sense because we have this consolidation structure right here. We did get a dive down here, and I think we may get one more dip in this region as well. But ultimately, this region does make a ton of sense because we have this 8-hour breaker that we can clearly use as an invalidation, as well as on the RSI, you can see we do have a series of lower lows that's happening over here, and we also have a series of higher lows that's happening on the RSI. So this is a classic bullish divergence and on the RSI and the price, which does look pretty good. We are getting an increase in volume right now, which means the sell-off is definitely coming to some sort of a head. So again, I do expect one more dip down potentially, and then a good clean reversal to the upside. Now, the best way to know that this reversal is actually happening is we do have some sort of a trend line that's been forming here. Break above here around 20,000. I think we're essentially in the clear. All right. Now, other reasons why I'm really interested in this region. If you go to the funding rates, you can see we have a lot of negative funding across the board right now, guys. Like a ton of negative funding. So that means that essentially longs are being paid to open longs, and shorts have to pay a higher interest to essentially keep their short open. That means if the price doesn't drop quicker, that means that these guys are going to have to start closing some of their short positions, and longs essentially are getting paid just to open up long positions. So that means that essentially it means that shorts are in a compromisable position. Okay, are they actually going to be short squares here? We really don't know, but the conditions are being set up for that to possibly happen at the bottom of a range. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is actually going to be on the DXY. Okay, DXY has been a very important indicator. This is the overall strength of the US dollar, and it definitely has been very strong over the last few months. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay, and this is actually a very clear parabolic rise that we've been having. But as of right now, we do have a clear invalidation. this is an 8-hour breaker that does look pretty important. And although we did get a slight close above here, it's a really weird on how this whole thing processes, and that the opens and closes don't entirely match. So I'm going to ignore that close above it for now, but just understand that if we start accepting back above here, that would be very bearish for crypto. But I'm still going to treat this as a major resistance until we actually start losing it. So right now, it does look like a bearish retest, and so I'm going to assume that this is going to start at least consolidating or maybe even dropping down, potentially breaking down for this parabolic movement. We don't know about that yet, but the ultimate thing is, though, until we get above here, I think the risk reward does make a ton of sense in the bull's favor. Another reason why I'm bullish here is the euro. The euro gives us a pretty big clue that we may actually be at a point to where the DXY could be dropping. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we have this weekly, though these two are the weekly breakers here. So weekly, yeah, a monthly here and a weekly here. These are very important levels, and this is the only real breaker that we have left before a just mass capitulation would happen. So we are at this major support level, and I'm going to assume that this is going to hold until it doesn't. So as long as the euro is able to hold this, that means DXY has a good chance of decreasing or dropping. And if DXY drops, that is really healthy for the entire crypto market and traditional assets. So, so where am I targeting if this whole thing does play out? Well, let me find the right chart, not that one. All right, this will work. I'll use this for now. So essentially, guys, I am going to be targeting, okay, here we go. I'm going to be targeting this 3-day level right here, okay? I think it makes a lot of sense. This breaker, this entire consolidation cluster, right here around 20,800 is where I'm targeting for my initial targets. If we do get above there, my next target will be around here at 22,500 again. And if we can get above there, then we can go ahead and start targeting up here at 27,000. All right. But ultimately, though, it doesn't make much sense to be short here. I think that the risk reward just doesn't make sense because essentially we do have a major support level right here. So where are you going to place your stop loss at for the short? You really can't place it. It doesn't make much sense. However, for the long position, it's a really easy way to play. So you place your position right here. You're targeting, let's say, up here. Your risk to reward, right around there, 5-hour trade. This just makes a ton of sense just based upon math. Now, if we do actually get beneath this level, then you can start targeting down here, which is on the weekly chart. It's this massive breaker that was formed after the peak happened in 2017, 2018. Okay. So if we do start to actually confirm this as a support level or a resistance level, just like we had back here, this sort of a fall through and reconfirm it as a resistance level. If we start getting this sort of movement, then I'm going to go ahead and target down here. But ultimately, I do expect the 13.5 to 16K region to hold as a very strong support as well. So there's not that much more further to drop within reason unless there's an absolute and total just collapse of the entire market, which of course is not unfeasible, but you know, one step at a time, right? So ultimately, though, guys, I think this does make a lot of sense. I did enter to a long position, but actually not in Bitcoin. My long position is actually in Atom right now, and the reason why is pretty clear. This is a very clean bullish retest that appears to be happening, and as long as this bullish retest holds, I think Atom has a ton of potential here because this chart looks absolutely gorgeous. Very strong parabolic movement. You also have on the BTC pairing also looks really strong. This entire chart just looks really, really good. I think Atom does have a ton of potential. So that's the one that I want. I think this is the play right now. So if Bitcoin does hold its levels, I do expect Atom to outperform Bitcoin. But ultimately, Bitcoin's got to hold its levels, and the DXY needs to hold it. And if that can happen, some really, really cool things can happen. So outside of that, I hope this makes sense. If you have some questions, like always, let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Deuces, boys. I'm out.